that happened here in Largo on Christmas Eve, December 24th at about 1:45 p.m. The victim in the homicide is Abrielle Baldwin, a 23-year-old black female. Her date of birth is May 5th of 2000. She went by the name of Bree and was a mom to two boys, a 6-year-old and an 11-month-old. The incident happened at 2357 22nd Avenue Southwest in Largo. We've arrested two people, and I'll explain the incident as to what happened. The first person that was arrested is DeMarcus Coley. He's a 14-year-old black male. Date of birth is May 2nd, 2009. And he's been charged with first-degree murder, child abuse, and being a delinquent in possession of a firearm. The second is Darkus Coley. He's a 15-year-old black male. Date of birth is January 31st, 2008. And his charges are attempted first-degree murder and tampering with physical evidence. And both of them are in the photographs to my left, to your right, and they're brothers. So this is what happened. On Christmas Eve, as I said, December 24th, Abrielle Baldwin, her 10-month-old son, her 6-year-old son, her 14-year-old brother DeMarcus, her 15-year-old brother Darkus, and their mother, Joyce Birch, who's a black female with a date of birth of June 25th, 1984, went Christmas shopping at a store here in Largo. While they're shopping, 15-year-old Darkus was jealous that their mother, Joyce, was getting 14-year-old DeMarcus more gifts than he was receiving. So they had this family spat about who was getting what and what money was being spent on who, and they're having this big thing going on in the store, and they're all arguing with each other. They left the store and headed to their grandmother's house, which is where the incident happened, at 2357 22nd Avenue Southwest in Largo. They all piled into one car and they were heading over to her house. The Coleys, along with Joyce Birch, lived at 608 Westminster Boulevard in Oldsmar. They were going to their grandmother's house because she was going to watch Bree's 6-year-old and 11-month-old baby when she went to work. So they got there to this house on 22nd Avenue Southwest at about 1:45 p.m. on Sunday. Darkus, who's the 15-year-old, entered the home and went into the kitchen with his grandmother. DeMarcus, the 14-year-old, stood in the doorway because, again, they're all arguing and they're having this big spat about what happened while shopping and who's getting what and who didn't get what for Christmas. So this is just normal what people do when they have these young kids getting spats like this. And of course I'm saying this sarcastically because he's all mad at his brother about what his brother was getting and is not getting. He stood in the doorway and he took out his .40 caliber semi-automatic handgun and he pointed it at Darkus and told him he was going to shoot him in the head. So you got the 14-year-old who's mad at the 15-year-old because mom's not buying equal amounts of gifts. They get to grandma's house and he takes out his gun and tells him he's going to shoot him in the head. So DeMarcus tries to get Darkus to fight. Darkus said he didn't want to fight and told him to get out of the house and he didn't want anything to do with him. One of the boys' uncles was present in the home and he separated them by moving DeMarcus out of the house and moving him out into the driveway area. This is the house here to my right, again to your left, and that's the door where he was standing into, and that's the driveway area that he moved him out to where this happened. And so DeMarcus left the doorway. Darkus is still in the house in the kitchen. DeMarcus was standing by a parked vehicle in the driveway when Abrielle told DeMarcus, quote, "You all need to leave that stuff alone. Why are you trying to start it? It's Christmas." And at that point, Abrielle was in the driveway and she was carrying her 10-month-old baby in a carrier in her hand. DeMarcus then began arguing with Abrielle and used some very, very derogatory language that I won't repeat at all, and all kinds of profanity. He was calling her a whore and all kinds of other stuff, and stated that he was going to shoot her and that he was going to, quote, shoot the baby too. DeMarcus then moved toward Abrielle and shot her in the chest with a .40 caliber semi-automatic handgun, again, while she's carrying the baby. Abrielle fell to the ground, so did the baby. The baby wasn't hurt because the baby was in a carrier. So when DeMarcus falls to the ground, Darcus comes out of the house. And again, Darcus is 15, and he takes out his .45 caliber semi-automatic handgun because, again, I'll say this sarcastically, just normal that all these kids, that's what you do, right? You just carry handguns. When you get in a spat with your sibling, you take out your guns and you have a gun battle. So he takes out his gun and tells DeMarcus, so Darcus tells DeMarcus, quote, "You shot my MF sister," and then Darcus shot DeMarcus one time in the stomach. So DeMarcus falls to the ground, and when Darcus shot DeMarcus, DeMarcus was unarmed. And there's about an 8-second gap between the time that DeMarcus shot Bree and then Darcus comes out and shoots DeMarcus. And when he shot him, he no longer had possession of the gun. Darcus, the 15-year-old, then ran, threw his gun in a nearby yard, fled to a relative's house up in Clearwater, where we subsequently arrested him. Unfortunately, Abrielle Baldwin was transported to Largo Medical Center Hospital here in Largo with a single gunshot wound to her chest, and she was pronounced dead at the hospital. Basically, the round went in through her left arm into her chest area, went across, went into both lungs, all kinds of internal bleeding. She bled out and it popped both lungs. She couldn't breathe. DeMarcus was transported to a hospital where he underwent surgery. He's in custody, remains in the hospital, is in stable condition, and upon release, he'll be transferred to the custody of the Florida Department of Juvenile Justice. The Pinellas Pasco State Attorney's Office is going to review the case and decide whether to charge DeMarcus as an adult with the first-degree murder of his sister. Darcus, again, the 15-year-old, made self-harm statements after we picked him up at the location where he was in Clearwater, and he is right now in a secure mental health facility, and he'll be charged with attempted first-degree murder and tampering with evidence and transported to the Pinellas Juvenile Assessment Center upon his release from the mental health facility. The .40 caliber handgun that DeMarcus used to shoot his sister was recovered at the scene, and the .45 caliber handgun that Darcus used to shoot DeMarcus has not been recovered. Again, when he ran, he tossed it in the backyard. We've searched that area out there. We can't find it. And the unfortunate reality is it's probably going to be used in the next crime because somebody probably picked it up, and there are all kinds of people over there. And as I'm going to talk about here in about 1 second, there's way too many guns out there on the street, way too many crime guns out there, way too many stolen guns. Everybody's got a gun these days. And the sad part is that thing's going to be used in another crime because somebody picked it up. As you can see behind me in the photograph, DeMarcus, again the 14-year-old, recently posted a photo to Snapchat pointing the gun that he used to kill his sister at the camera. So this is within the last couple days, and this is a Snapchat photo. That's DeMarcus pointing that gun, which is this gun, which we recovered there at the scene, which is the gun that he used to kill his sister. So there's the Snapchat photo, and there's the gun that he used to kill his sister. According to many people that we interviewed out there, all kinds of people, family members, young, old, everybody across the board, is that both DeMarcus and Darcus carried guns all the time. They routinely carried firearms on them. People knew it, that's what they did, and a lot of it, they claim, is because of recent ongoings in the Ridgecrest Baskins area where they were accosted. And we've had a number of incidents I'll talk about in a second over there in the last couple of months. But again, these young kids, 14, 15 years old, routinely carry firearms. And this is what happens when you got young delinquents that carry guns. They get upset. They don't know how to handle stuff, so they just take out their guns and start shooting each other. And one of them kills his sister, who's a mom to a 10-month or 11-month-old baby and a 6-year-old boy. So how are they getting these guns? Well, it's real easy. They're getting them because they're either buying them on the street cheap, and they're all stolen guns. And for these two guys, they're getting them because they're stealing them from unlocked cars. They're out in the middle of the night doing car burglaries. Both DeMarcus and Darcus were arrested for committing numerous car burglaries in Oldsmar, where they live on Westminster Avenue, back in May of this year. DeMarcus, the 14-year-old, has arrests dating back to when he was 12 years old. Think about this. He has arrests dating back to when he was 12. He's only 14 now, okay, but 2 years ago he has arrests for being a minor in possession of a gun, grand theft auto burglaries, loitering and prowling, disorderly conduct, battery on a school employee, and battery on a law enforcement officer. He's only 14. Darkus was also arrested in May for committing numerous auto burglaries. Many of those cases are still pending. In the dispositions with DeMarcus previously is that, what's he get? Probation. The problem is you got way too many kids out there with way too many guns, and they're getting them because they're buying them on the street, cheap, 50 bucks for a gun, whatever, breaking into cars, and they're stealing the guns out of the unlocked cars. And I've talked about this long time, and those of you who have been around here for a while remember going back now to December of 2014. Charlie Condek, Tarpon Springs police officer, shot and killed. Where did the gun come from that killed Officer Condek? An unlocked car burglary, because people leave their guns in their cars. And these punks, these thugs, go out and break into the cars, they take the guns, and they use them for crime, and they kill people. Like they killed Charlie Condek, and like DeMarcus Coley killed his sister. So just in the last 30 days alone, just in our system, and this doesn't include St. Pete Police Department, it doesn't include Largo Police Department, it doesn't include Pinellas Park Police Department, just in our system alone, and this is what was reported, and they're not all reported because people don't report them all. Just in our system alone in the last 30 days, we've taken reports where 17 guns have been stolen from unlocked cars. You know, I get some people say, look, I can do what I want. I can leave my cars unlocked. I can leave my gun in my car. You know, it's not the responsible thing to do, but they do it. And the problem is the thugs that are stealing them, and I agree with that. The problem is don't steal people's stuff. But the reality is that you got punks like this out there, criminals out there like this that are doing it and going to do it, and then they're going to go and hurt people, and people can't leave their car doors unlocked and leave their guns in their cars. It's got to stop. See, you couple that with, since September, just in the Ridgecrest Baskins area alone, which is where this happened, a couple miles to the west of here, we've had 13 shootings or incidents involving guns in that area. And according to everybody, everybody's carrying guns over there. All these kids are carrying guns. And again, they're getting them from where I just said. So this proliferation of guns on the streets and guns in this area and guns in the hands of these kids, this is the worst I've ever seen it. I don't think we've ever seen it this bad. I really think that we need tougher laws to deal with these kids. As you can see with their criminal histories, they are not getting the consequences that they should get that keep them from doing it again and again and again, or deterring others from doing it again and again and again. And I really hope the Florida legislature in the upcoming legislative session will get serious about it and will pass legislation that will hold these kids accountable and help us to slow this down. Because if we don't slow it down, we've got a big problem. And I've never seen it as bad as it is with the number of crime guns that are on the street and the number of shootings and the number of people that we come across that are illegally carrying guns. And again, they're getting them out of unlocked cars. That's primarily where they're coming from. And all we can do is ask people, really plead with people, don't leave your guns in the unlocked cars. And deal with people like this. You know, enough of this slap on the wrist. Enough of this, you get arrested because you got a gun, you steal a car, you hit a cop, battery on a school board employee. That was another charge that DeMarcus had. You got all this stuff, and what happens to him? Oh, well, you know, he's only 14. He really doesn't understand what's going on. We'll just give him probation. It's not working. It is not working. And if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you always got. It needs to change. The laws need to change. We need to get serious, and then we need to get tough, and these kids need to get locked up. Send a message. So now you got a 11-month-old and a 6-year-old boy that their mom's dead. You don't ever get undead at the hands of a punk who was upset because he didn't get enough Christmas presents from his mom. And it's ridiculous. Anybody got any questions?
You mentioned grandma and uncle were home at the time. Were they involved in any way? How are they doing at this point?
Well, I mean, they were involved in it. You know, the uncle tried to separate them. They knew that it was going south. They knew that they were arguing. And again, everybody, really everybody, knew that these guys carried guns all the time. So, it was common knowledge.
So they weren't hit at all with any bullets or anything like that? They weren't shot?
No, everybody's fine. The only person, again, it was 2 shots that were fired. Is that one shot from DeMarcus into his sister and 1 shot from Darkus into DeMarcus. So 2 shots, that's all it takes.
Can you also spell Abriel's name?
Sure. It's A-B